What do you mean?
Well, usually you change your shirt for the video.
I changed my shirt for the video.
Yeah. Your hair looks great.
Thanks.
I'll stand up straight. Like, say hello.
Hi.
Say, I'm here to talk to you about the books.
I'm here to talk to you about the books. I got some coffee.
Nice.
Hey everyone. How's your pandemic going? I hope you're all reading some good books. If you're stuck at home, while you're stuck at home, I've had kind of an interesting predicament here myself because I live right by the main library in my town, and they've suspended the need for people to return books and music and DVDs and things, so I've just been stuck with the same number of library books, but not necessarily bad ones. I've been reading some interesting stuff. In terms of library books, one book I had recently that I really liked is American Philosophy by John Kaag. Now, I had read Hiking with Nietzsche a couple different times, which is also by the same author, but it's pretty interesting. It's about him sort of cataloging a private library in New Hampshire, and it's a really interesting book if you're into American philosophy or if you're into transcendentalism and things of that nature. And if you don't know very much about that topic, it's a kind of interesting non-fiction approach to that subject, and I enjoyed it. Now, actually, recently I went on a trip where I went to some of the locations from John Kaag's Hiking with Nietzsche, and I'll post that video later. That happened last month, but it's quite a bit of editing, so I'm going to have to post it at a later date. Now, in terms of other stuff that I've been reading, I've been getting really into Jack London, partially because Jack hailed from the same area of California that I do originally, and I wanted to kind of delve into him a little bit. The first book I started with was Martin Eden, which is a largely autobiographical account of him as a young author trying to make it, which is a pretty decent novel. Then I moved on to reading The Sea Wolf, which is one of his more famous ones. Sort of like Moby Dick, but not quite as good, but still a pretty decent novel, pretty famous novel. I would recommend it. It's also semi-autobiographical, like a lot of his work is, because he actually did go on a sailing trip to Japan when he was a young man. And then I read John Barleycorn, which is another autobiographical book, not really a novel, just sort of a non-fiction depiction of some of his life in California. I'm waiting on a copy of Call of the Wild to show up, and then I'll progress on to reading that. In the meantime, I've been reading Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which Lano sent to me as a Christmas gift. I guess it was adapted into an anime that's pretty famous, and so it was originally written in Japanese. Wasn't translated until semi-recently. It's pretty decent. I would compare it to a sort of, well, I would describe it as a sort of Japanese Ender's Game if you're into sci-fi. I'm not super into sci-fi, but I do occasionally get into it, and so I've been enjoying it. And that's pretty much what I've been reading recently. Have been in, kind of a predicament, like I said, with the library, which is often where I get my books. They're closed right now, though they still offer online books for access, audiobooks, things like that. But for the meantime, I have sort of a shelf worth of material that I had from them that's on indefinite loan until they reopen. I'm going to be working through that slowly. I'm going to post some other videos probably in the meantime, and I'll see you soon. If you don't mind, in the comments section, if you guys want to mention what you've been reading, I'm always open to new and exciting stuff to check out. So if you guys, I hope you've been using whatever time, well, for me personally, my kind of extra spare time I have now, I'm still working from home, but I have more time at home now because I'm not commuting as much, so it gives me a little bit of reading time, though I used to spend a good portion of my commuting time reading anyway, so now I'm just doing it at home rather than on transit going to work. Alright, well, I'll catch up with you next time. See you around.